You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Harry's wife. I am on fire. Yes, the sirens are sounding. Not because Harry's wife is literally on fire. That may disappoint you, and not that there is a fire engine racing to go to her, but that's what she envisaged would apparently be the case. What am I talking about? Well, information that comes courtesy of the Reddit thread St. Harry's wife. They use her full name. I, of course, do not. And Septimi Sens writes as follows. My aunt is friends with the wife of Monty Shitshow's fire chief. And the friend told her that Harry's wife did her typical love snack bombing with the fire department. Harry's wife scheduled an appearance at the firehouse so the department could meet her. Also, to supposedly tamp down any negative feelings after the spate of emergency calls from Casa Olive Garden. My aunt's friend decided not to go, but apparently everyone from the department who did thought the whole visit was extremely bizarre. No word on whether the snacks were lemons, olive oil cake, or leftover Uvalde chips. Thus it would appear, if this information is correct, and as always I leave it up to you to determine the veracity of the material, Harry's wife determined that she would schedule an appointment so that the fire department could meet her. Yes, once again, her pomposity pistol is firing, as filled with that rampant sense of entitlement. She believes that the good men and women of the Monty Shitshow Fire Department have nothing better to do than meet a F-list former cable actress who happened to ensnare a dim-witted ginger prince, make him her lackey, and thus she became world infamous. I'm sure it's on their list of things they'd want to do beneath having fishhooks shoved up their arses. The fact is, this is commensurate with those of you who will recall, and more of this soon, in my When Harry's Wife Met Me HG series, Volume 2, Part 2, where I explained at the relevant reception she was talking to some set of guests next to me and basically asked them, are you excited to hear what I've got to say? This sums up Harry's wife quite neatly, and this poster, their recollection of what apparently happened, fits precisely with the circumstances of what I overheard her saying to other people. This is a woman that is a talent-free zone, beige beyond compare, and yet she swans around believing, as a consequence of the deluded thinking generated by her narcissism, that everybody wants to meet her, that the fire department would be delighted to have some of their valuable time taken up by listening to her saying, ooh, what a big hose you've got, and gosh, I've never seen something so wet, apart from me when I'm talking to you, Mr. Big Fire Chief Man. Why can I let you polish my helmet, etc., etc.? You can well imagine Harry's wife with her completely inappropriate performance. You've seen this before. The way, for instance, she engaged in the Duchess of Squat. The way that she engaged in the ooh, whoops moment, putting her hand over her mouth. I know you can picture her right now, can't you? Sashaying into the fire department, making eyes at all those hunky fire people. That she is looking them up and down, considering which one she will have for a meal, thinking to herself, gosh, all the men here really want to have me, and what better than me getting my hands on the fire hose of one of these burning hunks of love. She is so up herself, generated by her self-importance and self-absorption, that she believes that a fire department would want to meet her. This, of course, is part of the love bombing that a narcissist would do. Love bombing is traditionally reserved for intimate partners, moving them from an intimate partner secondary source into candidate position and then crowning them as the intimate partner primary source. But it can also happen with non-intimate secondary sources, friends, colleagues, neighbours, even family members, where the narcissist lays it on thick with flattery, with bribery, with praise, with offering to help, with seemingly being supportive. And it's no surprise to learn that she allegedly did so with the relevant firehouse, turning up and, first of all, assuming, lack of boundary recognition, that they would want to meet her, assuming that they would be interested in her, sense of entitlement, and having no due regard for their time, lack of emotional empathy. The fact also that if there has been a spate of emergency calls that have come from her property, which has caused problems with the firehouse's perhaps reluctance or telling off would be a threat to control, and this supposed charm offensive would then be doled out as a reaction to that as a direct Hoover attempt to try and nullify the threat to control. It's also facade management. Look at me. Everybody likes me. I've turned up at the fire department and brought some food, maybe a box of lemons or some banana bread that's been baked by somebody else. It also demonstrates the ridiculousness of her behaviour because she assumes that people who are busy and working in the community are going to be excited to meet her. Has she any experience of being involved with fire departments other than ogling firemen on a poster? No. Has she ever supported any charities that are involved with relevant fire departments? No. Has she been involved in tackling fire or perhaps talking about fire safety? No. But it shows two things. The incongruity of her behaviour because she schedules an appearance with a public service department thinking they want to meet her. That in itself is odd and is demonstrative of the way that her narcissism doesn't get it right regularly. And remember, she's not embarrassed by this. You might be embarrassed for her behaviour. You may be experiencing second-hand embarrassment, but she doesn't. She thinks that everybody's really pleased to meet her. She thinks that it's a complete success. She thinks that all of these people will be looking at her saying, oh, isn't she gorgeous? Isn't she beautiful? Isn't she kind? How good of her to provide us with her time. But also, at the end of the day, with no disrespect to those that work there, it's a firehouse. They undertake an important role, of that there's no doubt. But it's a little bit different from thinking that you're going to pack an arena and talk to people by shimmying on down to your local firehouse and believing that they're going to be overly excited to meet you. Not only is it ridiculous behaviour of hers, which again shows the incongruous nature of her narcissism and how she truly doesn't understand people, but it also is demonstrative of how far she has fallen, that she has to try and do this in order to get fuel. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.